In the New Testament, it's written, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. So the believer has power, the believer has love, and the believer has a sound mind. So there's no anxiety included in this, because anxiety belongs to the spirit of fear. And God has not given us the spirit of fear. I want you to meditate on that declaration for a while, because it's both a declaration and a statement that's true. God has not given us the spirit of fear. He's given us love, power, and a sound mind. That means that everything God does in your life will be in power, it will be out of love, and you'll be in a sound mind when it happens, despite attacks. Because, let me say it like this. Persecution is to harm your mind. Persecution are persistent troubles to burden your mind, to burn your emotions. But when you walk by faith, you walk in power. So because you walk in power, you overcome the tribulation and the persecution comes against you in peace, that means in a sound mind. And because of that, you walk in forgiveness because you have God's supply. So you walk in love towards others. You can't walk in love with everyone because not everyone walks in love. Those that persist in darkness, you can't walk in love with them. You can only be in love towards them. Why is it important to realize that God has not given us a spirit of fear? Because when you think about it, when you really think about it, the only thing Satan has on you is fear. All deception and all lies that Satan brings forth is to put you in a fear state. I'm going to give you an example. Well, it's going to be a small parable, but just think with me in this parable. You have two men. They are two friends. They work together. They have a business together. One day they are arrested. And the police tell them you're arrested for being the suspect of, let me think of a crime, of burglary and scamming. So they're both arrested for burglary and for scamming. And they're told they have the right to remain silent because everything that they say can and will be used against them in a court of law. So they're arrested. The two men keep their mouth shut. They don't say anything to the police, nor to the investigators. Eventually, they're released on bail. So they had to pay money to get them off their backs. So they paid the bill. The bill was $80,000, which was money they intended to invest in their business. After, let's say a week after they were released from jail, because they paid the bill, or better said, one of their cousins paid the bill because the cousin had access to their account, to their business account, and they were released from jail. So after they were released from jail, they had to close the business down because they didn't have the money for the new investments anymore. A week after they were released from jail, that same cousin that paid their bill went online on Google. And he found out that the alleged victim, whose house was robbed, was dead. He passed away 12 years ago. And the one that claimed that they were scammed by those two, he was an actor. He was registered as an actor. So then, the cousin tells those two, but it's the cousin of one of them, but the cousin tells the two guys, listen, you've been scammed. You see this guy over here? He passed away 12 years ago in a car accident. And that house of his was demolished 2 years ago. So how can you be charged with burglary into a house that doesn't even exist anymore? And this guy over here is an actor. Okay? This guy doesn't even have that much money. So how could you scam him for $80,000? Well, he doesn't even have any assets anywhere. So then the three men looked at the situation and realized, hold on a minute. This was a setup to prevent us from advancing in our business. We were about to rent a new place, we're about to purchase new machines, we're about to expand, and now this happened. Now, even though we don't have a record because we've been cleared from all charges, we suffered damage in our reputation, so we lost a lot of clients, and we lost our savings. So now we don't have any cash. So this is what happened in this parable. Yeah, you had two men who were moving forward in life. So an accusation came against them. You didn't notice that when I told the parable, it was an accusation against them. And this accusation was not challenged in a constructive way. And this accusation grew, and eventually a plot was made to take the men out. So that's why when they were arrested, they were told you have a right to remain silent, because they didn't have to comply with it. They remained silent, and because they remained silent and didn't comply with the accusation, they had to be cleared from all charges. But because it came so far that they were even arrested, the legal system now could blackmail them into paying a bill. And because they wanted to get rid of the charges, they paid the bill. And the bill intended to take away their economic potential. When they were arrested, it was expected they would resist, but expected they would defend themselves, and that would trap them into a legal battle that would exhaust them, and they would be found guilty, even though they were innocent. That didn't work out, so charges had to be dropped. But because they have been arrested and there was a charge, now they were told if you pay a bill, you're off. If they didn't pay the bill, it could have gone against it, but that would have drained them also. So they've been put in a position where there was a way out, but the way out would cost them. They did the right thing by paying the bill, so they are over all of that, but now they were worse off. What happened here? The spirit of fear came in. The man did not notice that the spirit of fear came in. Where did the spirit of fear come in this parable? Where? The men had their business. They were about to expand. They even had an employee, which was a cousin of one of them. But hold on. Why did they save the money in order to expand? When they had the money, why didn't they just purchase and invest? So they had a scarcity mindset. And this scarcity mindset was based on fear. And this scarcity mindset opened the door for accusation. And because the door to accusation was open, they did not notice when accusation came. And when the accusation advanced, there was danger that grew against them. And now the danger didn't wipe them away from the earth. It didn't get them in jail. It didn't take their life, but it robbed them of what they had. If they would look at the bigger picture, they would realize, okay, we've processed the past, so we are in the here and now. So in here and now, we need to invest. That's how we have a good impact for the future. We're not going to gather and gather. And we're not going to gather treasures on the earth, holding on to them, thinking they're going to provide a good future for us. No, we're going to spend it now so that we're economically active, economically relevant now. If they would have looked at the bigger picture, they would realize it's the now that matters. But because they were clinging in order to prevent future discomfort. They were operating in fear. They now did not walk in power, nor in love, nor in a sound mind. So what I want you to do, believer, is to just sit down or lay back, take a deep breath a few times, and to really examine the situations that you're going through. Examine the people you're involved with. Just examine your life for a moment. Just do it once in a while. Or better, do it frequently. When you do that in peace and at ease, you'll notice things. Then you'll notice that those difficult circumstances that were afflicting you were only there because you had people that walked by fear that blocked your blessings. This is what you need to understand. People that persist and continue in fear, they'll become blessing blockers. They carry this heavy weight of negative energy with them. Everywhere they go, they pollute the environment with that toxicity. And that toxicity, that heaviness hinders the flow, the good flow from coming. It's the same as you have a door and you have a box being placed in front of the door. So nobody can walk through the door. The door is open, but there's this big box up there. So people are encountering the box all the time. That's how a lot of people become. Because they continue in this fear-based thinking of the world. And when they're completely happy, now instead of facing the mental and emotional bankruptcy within, they now become angry at someone else. By being angry at someone else, they don't have to face the internal bankruptcy. So they cling on to being angry at you. They become bitter against you. They'll attack you. They'll blame you. They'll play the victim as if you're the one that makes them attack you. They'll do all of that because they don't want to face the internal bankruptcy. Just like in that story, in that parable, you had those two guys that were successful. Things were going well. And suddenly there was accusation against them. That accusation was there because others noticed that they were moving forward. And those other people were not moving forward at all. They stood still. And because they didn't want to face the internal bankruptcy of their way of thinking, they now became angry at those two that were successful. And because the two that were successful, because they also had an open door to fear, because they were clinging, they were clinging onto something God never told them to cling onto. Because of that, they were extra vulnerable to the psychic violence. And eventually the psychic violence contributed to an accumulation of danger around them that led to the affliction they went through. They didn't see it coming. If they would have looked at the bigger picture, they would have seen it coming. But in this case, the affliction was the result of others who not wanted to see the internal bankruptcy. And you have a lot of folks like that. They don't want to face anything within. They just want to be left alone, and you'll find a way to deal with whatever tantrum or anger they throw off. They have their reasons, and don't challenge the reasons, because if you challenge the reasons and they lose it, it's your fault if they harm you. You have such faults. It's all about avoiding they have to face internal bankruptcy. So when you are moving forward, when you're successful, they will generate danger towards you. And the only way this danger will remain attached to you is if you agree with fear. That's why you need to agree with Christ. When you agree with Christ, and you cast out the spirit of fear, you cast out the spirit of violence, the spirit of poverty, you cast out all those demonic forces, what's going to happen? You become immune to violence. You become immune to sickness, immune to accidents. When you're immune to all of that, and you keep continuing, after a while you'll think back and realize, why did those people turn on me? Why did I have this headache all the time? Sometimes you're in your home, at peace, and suddenly you have a lot of headache, suddenly you have pain in your body. And the pain is so intense. You go to a doctor, they can't explain it. Your body's completely healthy. What's going on? You're under a psychic attack. Others are meditating anger towards you, so they don't have to look on the inside. They don't care if that anger harms you or kills you, whatever, as long as they are relieved from having to look within. And believer, you will have such creeps and cowards around you. Christ sent us as sheep amongst wolves. Christ did. So don't pray to get away from the wolves, because Christ sent you as sheep amongst wolves. Why? So that you would overcome them by the power of Christ, and that's how it's glorified through you. I'm telling you, believer, I've experienced this. When you are purged from fear, that means you're also purged from violence. When you're purged from both fear and violence, you'll notice how suddenly things begin to work out for you. You'll notice how suddenly a lot of people just can't come near you anymore. You'll notice that when those people disappear, when they decide to leave you, suddenly other things begin to unfold for you. There are people out there who are just not willing to comply with any solution whatsoever. They just want to leave at all costs. And they will agree harm on you so that you are in a negative light and they're off the hook. Nobody notices them. So when you have people that are way too secretive, watch out. If someone is way too secretive, that's a red flag. But above all, believe we have power, love, and a sound mind. Anytime you encounter a situation that triggers you out of power, that means that that situation is sent by the enemy. Any situation that triggers you out of power is a situation sent by the enemy to get you in fear. So also check the people around you, because energy doesn't lie. When someone carries danger with them, you will sense it. So pay attention to your instinct. And when you are purged from violence, listen to me, when you're purged from violence, because you need to be purged from fear first. And when you're purged from violence, from that demonic stronghold, or that demonic force, let me tell you, people that agree to bet on you because they want to face themselves, they'll be frightened when you are around. Because you can't be affected by violence anymore. That means that all the violence emitted towards you will haunt them. And after they encounter you, they're triggered at their expense. So they don't want that. They're not even going to fight you. They're not even going to argue with you. They're not even going to tell it to your face that they can't stand you, whatever. Because every emission of anger towards you, of a violence towards you, will haunt them instantly. And because they're too frightened to admit they're wrong, the only thing they can do is flee. And when they flee, see miracles begin to happen here and there. Some of you, listen, it's not sin, it's not that much demons or anything like that. It's just blessing blockers that you have to be delivered from. And because you're purged from violence, you don't see it for what it is. That's why look at situations carefully. What is the situation trying to bring out of you? If the situation is provoking you to walk by faith, okay, even if the situation was bad and sent by the enemy, okay, it's difficult, but it triggers you to walk by faith, okay, it's turned around for good. But if you have a situation in which people keep suggesting a bad outcome to you, that's evil spirits working through them to get you in fear. Once you refuse to be in fear, you'll notice two things. You'll have sudden weird circumstances haunting you. And secondly, when you overcome those weird circumstances, things are completely at ease. And you think, what? What just happened? That is when you walk by faith. So agree with Christ and be at peace.